Well, hello there, it's Beards and Bangers, and today I'm making a video that I didn't think I'd make because it's a story of most of my R3 chassis cars that are sitting here now. Bram's not here, but we'll talk about Penny in this video. So as you know, I've got Biomorphic Halo here now, and I think I said in the video when I kind of had a bit of a walk around of that car that I'm going to have to make room, make some sacrifices, A, to free up some space, B, to free up cash so I'm not dipping into savings, and clearly Halo the Biomorphic needs a lot of work doing. But you'll have seen in previous episodes that I've spent a lot of time, not that much money on Penny, but she had a lot of love invested on her. She's heaps of fun to drive. So I'm actually going to be selling her. And this isn't so much of a sales pitch. It's more of a kind of a recap and a reflection on what's happened with her. So I'm going to walk you around the car, just remind you what she is, what we've done to her, and talk about what we're going to sell her for. Go for a little drive as well, because I've never actually done a video of the sounds and sights of her since she's had all the kind of tuning work done. So the straight pipe at the back and the remap up the front. So let's grab the camera and have a bit of a walk around the car. So if you know the L series engine, then this bit you can kind of ignore, but if you don't, the L series is a sort of a follow-on from the Perkins Prima engine that Rover used in the 1980s. It's Perkins. I mean, when I think of Perkins engines, I think of canal boats futting up the canal. That's always my first thought, having been on a few narrow boat holidays. But Rover was still using the engine right up until 2005. Of course, they were working on the G series engine, which was a development of the L series, and that would have replaced allegedly a very, very fine engine that was tested. I think there might be a couple out there somewhere, but that would have replaced the M47 that was in the 75 and ZTs, and also the L series as well. But of course, the L series itself, let's have a little look at it under the bonnet. It sounds very agricultural. It's very tractor-like when you start the car up. This sounds a little bit different because, of course, it's been tweaked. But they're strong engines, a massive amount of torque. I think 240 newton meters of torque as standard, but only 99 in a Freelander, 101 brake horsepower. In a Streetwise or a 25, that was boosted a little bit in the ZRs. I think the ZRs are putting about 115. So, yeah, massive torque, pull really well. Even at the 101 brake horse power level, you're still pulling away at the lights pretty well. What have we done here? So if we look at the back of the engine, or the side of the engine, if you're old-fashioned, you can see there's no EGR. Well, you probably can't see because it's a bit hard to see, but there's no EGR valve. The contents of the cat may well have fallen out. I can't confirm or deny that. And then it's got bigger injectors. So the old 200 and 400s, the R8s, had a Peugeot-derived diesel engine. So they didn't actually use the L series or the Perkins Prima. They used a Peugeot-derived diesel engine. They had slightly bigger injectors, a bit more pressure. So they've gone in as well. Now, just doing those things, so EGR delete, removing the cat, bigger injectors, it felt like a remap just doing that. It was seriously quicker. Wheels were spinning, really naughty. But then, of course, you'll notice the mass airflow sensor should be plugged in there, but it doesn't need to be because we've got a MAFless Chasley ECU. So with the MAF plugged in, it's probably around 130 brake horsepower. Sadly, I've not put this car on the dyno, but with the MAF unplugged, I would estimate the BHP on this to be anywhere between sort of 145 and 160. It's quick enough. It doesn't matter whether it's 145 or 160. It's quick enough. So that was the kind of the engine mod. So if you've got an L series, really easy to do. ECU's about 150, 160 quid, but you get 30 quid back for your old one. Excuse the noise behind me. EGR delete, 20 quid kit off discount MG Rover Spares. Little blanking kit, a couple of bits in it, really easy to fit. and the cat modifications, if indeed that did happen, is completely free. The SDI injectors, they are hard to get. If you are going to be tuning an L series engine, I'll spin you back round because you don't want to just be staring at the engine. If you are going to get SDI injectors and that's what you want to do with your L series, look hard. They are not easy to find, but they are out there. You'll need to budget now for probably 200 quid for a set of those. They're quite sought after. They're not that easy to get, so bear that in mind if you are going to tune your L series powered car, so your 25 Streetwise ZR or your Freelander, very early Freelander. So that's what happened up the front in the engine bay. The exhaust was fairly easy to do, other than the cat. So the centre section on this is already a straight pipe, which is ideal. So you don't want too much resonance on these. You want it to be really free flowing. The only difference on the back, so that's a Yanspeed back box, but it's been opened up, and we'll hear this in a sec. So I think it sounds, you've not heard it yet on video, but this sounds absolutely superb. But yeah, it's a straight pipe, so it just really gives it a bit more grunt. It sounds more aggressive, but you can easily put a standard back box or a stainless steel back box on there, if you are going to buy this car and don't want that kind of noisy exhaust pipe. You can do that very easily. But yeah, straight pipe, it just really sounds quite raughty, quite throaty. It's a nice sound. It's a bit smoky. That's not an issue. It's not burning enough fuel. The reason for that is that the boost pressure needs turning up. So there is a little screw on the actuator that you can adjust. We haven't done that. It's something you need a boost gauge for, but it's putting up enough power. But if you want to reduce the smoke, then you'd need to up the boost pressure. Personally, I think a bit of smoke is all right, although the Eco Warriors will probably chew me out for that quite considerably. And that's pretty much it for the sort of the mechanical side of things. You'll notice the car is considerably low. I'll go around so the sun's behind me because I don't want to give you guys glare. Now the car's sitting on addendum alloys. They are freshly refurbished. They are wearing Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric tyres. They will not be sold with the car unless someone's prepared to pay good money, because Goodyear Eagle F1s, you're talking £120, £130 per corner. Refurbished addendums, you've got to be talking 300-400 quid for those, because they're sought after wheels. They're nice looking wheels. They work well on a ZR as well. They look good on any R3, to be honest. They're just really nice, easy to clean, but very attractive wheels. But they are freshly refurbished, so it'll be on the stock Streetwise wheels. If someone wants the addendums that badly, it's a separate negotiation. All right. I'll be upfront about that now. The car is sitting lower, so it's on ZR TD lowering springs, so it's significantly lower than the standard Streetwise. It does need the shock absorbers changing. I have got a set of ZR shocks. Again, they're not going to come with the car, but they'll be available by separate negotiation. It depends how you want it to handle. It's fun the way it is. It's like a go-kart the way it's set up at the moment, but you may want it to be slightly firmer. In which case, yeah, shock absorbers, strut braces, front and rear would need to go on it. You'd need to probably also put the rear beam and rear anti-roll bar from a ZR 160 onto it. The other big thing we did, which you can see in a previous video, so the playlist I've put up at the top of the screen earlier in the video, is it's got these Mintex, it's got ZR 160 front brakes, so that's the back plates, calipers, carriers, and then it's got Mintex drilled, grooved and vented discs and matching Mintex pads as well. Austin built the rear hubs up, but to be honest, it doesn't need them, so I'm going to keep those hubs as a spare for Halo, because the stopping power with those 160 with the 160 front setup is quite enough, so I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, so she's nice and reliable. The other thing that happened, I lost electrics, and we thought the alternator had fried itself, but actually it was this earth strap down here. So Austin very kindly changed that for me. Good battery, yeah, takes charge, no issues with that whatsoever. So yeah, it's fun to drive. I did a road trip back in April. God, that seems an age ago now, for the weekend that was POL but wasn't POL, at the Great British Car Journey, then the Churnet Valley Railway. So that was on the first big road trip. But yeah, it covers long distances, no problem at all. The interesting was this car lived most of its life in a village called Hadnam, which is just outside Aylesbury, and it went to Wales, to two people in Wales, Tom and then another guy, and then it came back to Aylesbury. But where will it end up next? Who knows? Without further ado, I'm gonna start her up, let you hear the lovely exhaust sound, also let you hear L series of stock. You can't really hear the turbo whine, or the spooling of the turbo, but when you've done all what we've done, it really opens things up. So you've got a lovely noise from the turbo. So I'm just going to get the camera set up at the back of the car, and then we'll get out and give it a bit of a drive, just to remind you what it's like. Right, so we'll give her a little start up and just let you hear what that's like. So yeah, much more throaty, much more fut-futty, than a standard L series. But if we give her a rev, real nice turbo whine, lovely sound. If I really put my foot down, that happens. But if you don't put your foot down, it's okay. Let's get out and give her a drive. So we remind ourselves what Penny's like to drive. She's quick. I took Austin's dad out for a spin when we were getting ready for the rally, and he was, I'm sure he was hanging on for dear life, because the acceleration is seriously good. I mean, the red line is, on a standard one, it's about 4,500 RPM, but this goes, I mean, it goes up to the top of the gauge basically. Not that I rev it that hard that often, but yeah, it's just seriously fun to drive. It really puts a smile on your face. I would keep the car, but I don't need 4 R3s. I've got Bram, the BRM that is, I've got the van, which is going to be sold as well, and I've got this and the Biomorphic, so I'm keeping Bram. That's, you know, that's a keeper. I really don't need 4 of the cars, and the ZR160 does what this does, but in a very different way. Of course, this pulls at all parts of the rev range, whereas the 160, you've got to get it to 4,500 RPM plus to get anything out of it, but I don't mind that. So yeah, it was a tough decision, but I've made the decision. It's happening. It's got to go. But yeah, in terms of driving, handles superbly, it corners really well, lowering them. Does it make it not a Streetwise? I don't know, you tell me. But it certainly corners majestically. It's very pointed. Yeah, it's not the most comfortable car in the world, because it's an R3. It's not a Rover 75. It's not an MG ZT that's you sit in a great big armchair. These are a bit bouncier, same as a ZR. That's just the car they are. But it's happy, you know, it's happy on the motorway. The other good thing, of course, is if you want to put your foot down and have some fun, you can. It's really quick. But if you want to just cruise on the motorway, it's also very economical. Don't forget, these have got a really small tank, and when I was driving this car on a very regular basis, I was not filling it up very often at all. It does sip its fuel, even if you are enjoying it, but just drive it sensibly. You've got a very economical daily car. You can absolutely drive this car on a daily basis. Just carefully negotiate this village, but just sharp bend, yeah, no issue at all. Really straightforward. The aircon blows beautifully cold. It's one of the best MG Rover aircons I've actually experienced, because they can be problematic, but it's yeah, it's really nice cold aircon. We've done the resistors at some point. I think the fan was only working on 3 and 4 like they all do, So that was done early on. It's got a decent Pioneer head unit with a microphone, so you can make hands-free calls. That works perfectly well. It's got a CD player as well, so if anything like me where you've got a massive collection of CDs and are a bit reluctant about moving to digital music, it's you're sorted. You really are. It's a great car. I'll be sorry to see it go, but it is definitely the right decision for me to move this car on, so that I can really focus on the ZR160, because it's going to need a lot of money spending on it. It's going to need a lot of time and attention, and of course I'll be filming it as well. And I'll just move the camera slightly. When you are filming stuff for YouTube, it always takes just that little bit longer. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, condensing the fleet. It means I can really focus. You know, Husley's going to get some love, but that's more cosmetic stuff. The BRM's going to get some love. The BMW is getting love as we speak, but it just means I can really concentrate, rather than, you know, I think it was last Saturday I was working on 3 cars on the same session. I was doing a bit of body work on the BMW, I was doing some work to this, I was doing some work to the Biomorphic, and you don't do things properly if you're just doing I'm a man, I can't multitask, so there we are. So thank you for watching. I'm going to leave you with some sights and sounds of Penny driving. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more MG Rover and other car content. Hit that bell notification so you get told when I upload a new video. Hit the like button, drop a comment and share with your friends, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode of Beards and Bangers. Goodbye. And of course the other bit I forgot to tell you is the price. So it's $1,995. Hope you enjoyed those little clips there. $1,995 doesn't include the addendums, so you've got to pay separately for those, or have it on the, or prefer someone to have it on the standards.